Welcome back, boys, to the Lonely Road. As always, we are here to join you on your journey to become a better human and do the best you possibly can. Sometimes it's hard, sometimes it's easy. Goddamn, it's getting chaotic out there, but we are back like always, trying to make sure that everything can be the best it possibly can be. KJ, how have you been? It's been
What
it's been one of those weeks, so
what's going on, Zach? Like it has been chaotic. I think for me it's slowed down a little bit. Um because we're kind of slowing down on the purchase of a home and working on a couple things in the meantime. So we're looking at rentals.
yeah,
We went and saw a couple. It's ridiculous out there. You know, if you don't
yeah,
have a
it
620
is.
credit score, they don't want to look at you. And if I had a 620 credit score, I'd be in a home right now. So it's just, you know what I mean? Like, so it's really funny because my wife just paid off one little thing. And her credit score shot up like 36 points.
Yep.
So I don't think it's going to be very long before we are able to, be approved by a lender. But, I mean, we're not really sure if we're buying a two family or a one family right now. But I mean, things have kind of calmed down a little bit in that respect. I want to get my student loan under control, and then hone in on the home buying classes,
Yeah.
and my credit. And then, so that was my focus over the next 6 months, to get into a new place, to start getting all those things, handled.
Yeah, I had one of the weirdest meetings I've ever had yesterday, actually, and it's in the kind of same realm. I've never had like any conversation about life insurance or like why it's important
Mhm.
or anything ever in my life. So it was a weird, surreal feeling when he's like, "Yeah, so if you go to the ER and you get taken care of, we give you $300 for doing that." And I'm like, "Wait, so all these people have said, it's so expensive to go to the ER and it's this big problem. It's because people legitimately aren't taking care of themselves." I'm just like, that's insane. I was like, as a kid, dude, you know how often that would be a thing of me being in ER because I broke my arm, because I broke my fucking
Hmm.
hand, because I broke
I remember.
this finger or that finger. I
Yep.
was in the ER like 3, 4 times a month.
Yeah. Yep.
And I looked at Bria, I was like, dude, $1,200 extra in my mom's pocket would have made everything so much easier.
Yeah.
It might have been life changing. And I said that on the podcast last night. I was like, it's not like life altering money, but it is life changing money. It
Right.
absolutely changes how everything kind of plays out. And paying under $100 for that availability is fantastic to me.
Mhm.
It just is.
Yeah, it's interesting the things that you learn as you go through life, the things that you didn't know or your parents don't think to teach you because they think you're learning it or getting that information when really that's not what the schools are teaching you. They're not teaching you the information about. They say, hey, keep your credit score up, but they don't tell you all the things that hinder on it. They don't teach you how to deal with your emotions. They don't teach you all these skills that we're learning on our own. Um, and it's bringing it all in, um, and passing that on and doing something different than our parents did. Maybe
Yeah.
because they didn't have the bandwidth, maybe because they didn't have the teaching themselves, but just doing something different, and worthwhile.
And it's so surreal just to see how quick things click in place as you're taking the steps to do the things you're supposed to do. Like 14, 15, 16-year-old Zach, when I was fucking going against what logically I should have done at that point, those things were fighting against me every single fucking way they possibly could. And yeah, I made them fucking work and I figured it out. But it's like now that everything is going the way that I need it to, everything is kind of clicking into place no matter how hard those things are to get to click in place. They're fucking happening to the point where it's like this is happening regardless of if I want it to, if I'm ready for it to, if I'm expected to, if I expect it to do it, it's happening. And it's going to happen. It's just getting those things to click in.
Yeah, yeah, you have to. you have to reframe it when things are coming at a speed that you're not comfortable with. Like we were talking about earlier today, if it's not uncomfortable, it's not growth. And sometimes things come in at a speed that you're not comfortable with. You need things to slow down a little bit, and sometimes it can. But sometimes when you have kids, and you got 3 kids, I got 3 grandkids, and their needs are their needs, and there's
Yep.
3 of them. So you have their
And there's no
individual needs,
timetable to them.
and then your needs, and then
Yep.
your spouse's needs, and it's just like, and then work. That's a whole nother animal. You know what I
Yep.
mean? You have to grind and figure out how you're going to put food on the table for your family, make sure rent's covered at the beginning of the month, your internet bill's paid so you can continue to work. And that's stressful. And just kind of honing it in on Mental Health Month, or rounding out the month with a men's mental health episode, just to bring to light that we understand and see you guys. I see you.
Mhm.
I see you, especially, in a situation like you're my godson. I've been here since the moment you were born. And it's it was heartbreaking for me to see happen with your bio dad, what happened with your bio dad, and that he wasn't able to be a man and show you how to be a man. Well, he wasn't and can't. And, as far as when I knew, he wasn't
Yeah.
anything near. So it was, it's very interesting for me to watch you as a man, learn how to be a man. Um,
Yeah. And, you know, even being as big of a voice and like men's mental health and stuff that I am, and, you know, touching a lot of industries I never really thought I would. Being a dude who didn't have a dad at the start is one of the weirdest fucking things ever. And you learn the little things that absolutely are the things that, it's not, oh my God, I have to make sure I know how to skin a deer, skin a fish, and that's the only thing that I can do. It's like I have to be able to do everything. And if I don't know how to do it, I have to have enough competency to put it together and figure it out, whether that's my mental health, whether that's how a car fucking works, whether that's how I need to cook dinner tonight, or I need to make sure the bills are paid. I have to be able to be competent enough to put all those things together. And there is no guidebook for it.
no,
Absolutely none.
no, there's not. But you are pulling your resources, and you are getting the information. YouTube will teach you how to do anything if you can search
Yep.
for it. We have a new tool in Chat GPT. You've been using it longer than I have, but it's actually a really good tool to teach you how to life. And as a man, it must be difficult to feel the weights of being a man and growing into what society expects out of a man, and then getting your own expectations of being a man, and also balancing that with your mental health and
Yeah.
your diagnosis. You know what I mean? It's got to be difficult to do that, because we all know that you guys bottle things up for the most part. You,
Well, I think a lot of it is how men really kind of see the world compared to women. And a lot of people don't want to sit here and hear the gendered bullshit and everything else. But when a woman comes home from work and starts bitching and complaining about Karen and fucking accounting, they don't want you to fucking fix the problem. They just want you to hear it.
mhm, yep,
So when a guy actually comes to you and tells you, "Hey, I have this problem and this problem," they want you to help them figure it out and put the pieces together of like what the fuck is going on. And if I can't have that conversation with you about like how the fuck to figure it out, and all you're going to do is, "Oh, I feel bad for you." I'm sorry, that feels insulting most times. Like if we're not having a conversation of like how the fuck to fix this, or like what the fuck is going on, if we're not having a conversation of how to fix it, it's a useless conversation to me. I don't need the support in that aspect. The support is fixing the problem, because if we fix the problem or have a path to fix the problem, then I'm not feeling this anymore.
yeah. Well, there's innate differences between men and women,
Yeah.
and the way they take the world in, and that will that will determine how output happens. You know,
Like,
sometimes you just need to release, and sometimes you don't know as if or don't believe there's anything you really can do about the situation at work. And so you really just want to come home and kind of be like, whoo, holy cow, this happened. And I had to kind of reel it in at work today. And there's not really a problem, but somebody's attitude, you
yeah,
know, how you gonna work that when you got to work with that. So sometimes it's just a matter of releasing. But at the same time, men and women take things in differently. So that might land for a woman. I'm sure it would, like, if the same thing happened to you and I
yeah,
in the same situation, it would land completely different with you than it would with me,
hmm,
because I take things in from an emotional light. You take things in
absolutely.
from a more logical light, you know?
Yeah, and I think that that's why there's so many ongoing issues, especially in men in the younger generations now. Like when you have your generation where a lot of the mothers ended up being single moms or divorced moms at some point,
Yeah.
there's no data in a lot of those homes. So you have a lot of women saying, well, I wanted my man to do this. And you're not teaching a man how to be a man. You're teaching him how to be your significant other almost. Because like you're not teaching him how to actually do the things that his body is like meant to do mentally and meant to do physically. You're teaching him what you wanted somebody to do to show up, and that answer is not the same for everybody.
No, you can't. It's not a build a bear. You can't you can't make a human be uh, what you want them to be. A human's going to be their own human. Now, the parallel, the walking the train track with somebody, you walk with them, but their path is their path.
Yep.
And you can't dictate what that path is. You walk with them and you do life with them, or you find somebody that you can control and make what you want them to be, because that's not going to be me.
Yeah.
I've went through too many relationships that were like that, and gave up relationship that was not like that, unfortunately. So it's like one of the things that you learn about yourself, but learning this to be able to support the human that actually is, rather than the human that you may want them to be or want for yourself, not necessarily want them to be.
Yeah, and that was a really, really interesting conversation I actually had with the kids when she left originally. Was I sat them both down and I was like, I understand mom yelled and screamed all the time. And because I am so worn thin and everything else, I fell right into that whole just very, very short tempered and frustrated all the time.
It's the energy that
And I
was there.
looked at
Mm.
and I looked at them and I'm like, guys, this isn't working. You don't like this. I'm not this person. I can't keep doing this. What do you guys need? How do you guys need me to show you, teach you things and figure this shit out, because we're on this fucking path together
Mhm.
regardless of if we chose this path or not.
Oh yeah.
We need to work together and figure these contextual things out. Like it's okay. Like, do you guys need me to be later? Do you guys need me to like not worry about like your room and let the stress build up for you to do it? Or like, do you need me to be a hard ass and make sure you pick up every little piece of paper on your floor every single day because that's what you need, like the consistency things. Like, where do you need me to be? And I think that's what a lot of people kind of struggle with is like they don't want to accept that self accountability of like, oh my God, how the fuck do I do this? You ask, you have those conversations because they can be contextual. If you allow them to be contextual, you have to stop accepting that your ego is more important than everybody else that's around you and blow off the handle. Going to the bottom of a bottle, regardless of what gender you are, should never be the answer.
No, no, I mean, absolutely not. It's the bottle is running. You know, it's
Mhm.
running, and it's not, you know, taking accountability for your own shit. So I mean, mental health is going to run rampant, and it's going to be out of control if you don't rein it in. Everybody has mental health to deal with.
Yep.
Everybody feels low. Everybody gets highs and manics, and everybody gets on a cleaning spur, and people want to sleep. because things are happening, people die, things, and things go in cycles and people get stuck in certain parts of the cycle. What 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 you if you ignore that and you just continue to shove it down, because we know that there's a stigma with mental health,
Yeah.
you're going to continue to get that, which is compacted emotion that you're throwing in a bucket.
Which is why, 1 in 8 men experience mental health issues, whether that's anxiety or depression in their lifetime.
Mm-hmm.
Men die by offing themselves almost 4 times more often than women,
Mm-hmm.
even though the majority of them that we hear about are women. 75% of offing themselves in the US are men from the CDC, and 1 in 3 men with mental health issues seek help.
Under supported and underdiagnosed. Absolutely. For many reasons, because men are supposed to be stronger, or you have that stigma. You have that stigma of, I'm supposed to do this. I'm not supposed to cry. I'm not supposed to have emotions. Well, that's bullshit, because if you put those emotions in that bucket and you put the lid on that bucket, what's going to happen to that bucket eventually?
Well, I think that's the hardest part, and that's one of my talking points, was like this idea of what toxic masculinity and culture is, and how phrases like "man up" and "don't cry" are still a problem. The funny thing is I don't think either one of those phrases are a problem. The thing is how people make you perceive them. To me, is unless that person I can trust fully and I know isn't going to walk away the second that I start crying,
Mm-hmm.
is on the other side of that phone or on the other side of that couch, honestly, you don't deserve my vulnerability. Nobody does.
Right.
Because if you see me at my vulnerable points, then anybody can attack them. And if I'm so vulnerable and so available to everybody, like in my darkest, deepest points, then everybody can poke at those things.
Mm-hmm.
And then I'm no longer strong. I'm no longer available to be courageous or show the bravery that I have to do. You know what I'm saying? Like that's what don't cry is. It's not crying in front of your wife that you don't know if you could trust. It's not cry. It's standing there with your brother when you know everything's fucking falling apart, but you know you guys have each other, so everything's okay.
Well, yeah, you're masking because you don't trust. Unfortunately, you didn't trust your spouse with that after a certain amount of time. There was a certain point in time where, you guys earned each other's trust where that's concerned. And then there was a break. And nothing, it really didn't come back together after the break. And that's exactly what happened in, relationships with me. Once you have that initial break of some kind, whatever kind it is, whether it's, lying, infidelity, whatever, it, it, it never can be mended. It can never go back to what it was as much as you want it to. So there's a lot of masking that happens, and you
And that
felt like you were losing a lot of masculinity, I feel.
yeah, because even when I would sit there and handle something or deal with something, like, and I'll be a little bit more candid. I'll talk about exactly what happened and what kind of started the break.
Mm,
Um, right after this, actually, because I do want to. The phrase "man up" is one of the most important thing that a dude can tell another dude.
okay.
And everybody's not going to understand what the fuck it means unless you've actually dealt with a life like I have. Me telling you to man up isn't to stop fucking crying. It's to put your fucking head right, stand up and handle the problem right now, and then fucking collapse after you're done if that's what you have to do. It's right now, you're needed. No matter what the fuck you're feeling, no matter what I'm feeling, no matter what anybody else needs right now, you're needed right now. Put your shit together because right now we got to go. It doesn't matter if we're okay. That is what being a man is. And like for so long, I thought that that was a problem, and it's not. In chaos is where I need to thrive, not in calmness. In calmness, I can show everything. In chaos, I can show nothing. And this exact story is exactly why. when my mom fell on really, really hard times, they ended up living with us for a little bit. And I was very, very outspoken about some problems and stuff like that. And my ex-wife went above me and told me that they could move in and everything else. And I didn't want them to. Not because I wanted them to struggle, but because I wanted them to actually figure it out. I wanted them to put the pieces together. We're finally starting to be okay. Things are starting to get better in our life. We're not okay enough to accept more people into this. We need to keep going, not pull ourselves back to like zero again. We This house is our house. Let's keep going. Well, they kept having marital issues and problems and everything else, and it fell apart. And it ended up being the breaking point in me and my mom's relationship for a while
Mm,
because of how bad things went and stuff like that. It ruined me and KJ's relationship. It ruined a lot of relationships I had, and a lot of them that have been fixed. But that entire situation caused my ex-wife to cheat on me because instead of understanding that I was dealing with losing my mom, losing my godmother, losing my sisters, losing my stepfather, or like any support system I had, it was, you're sad for a week. I'm gonna go cheat on you with multiple guys at your job in the parking lot. And you know what? I showed the vulnerability in the time where I needed help, and it got laughed at.
right.
And it's like, okay, yeah, she's not every woman. And I would never put that fucking stigma on anybody because that's not fucking okay.
Mhm.
But at the same time, it's like, that's why dudes say don't cry. That's why they say pick your fucking chin up and keep going because you're a soldier, because you have to. Is because the things that you show people when you're fucking weakest, the person that you never expected will fucking hurt you. And yeah, it doesn't happen all the time, but it absolutely can.
When you least expect it. Yeah, absolutely. And you have to be able to emotionally regulate. And I think that sounds to me like that's what the man up means to a man.
Yeah.
When you don't be a little bitch or whatever you guys say to each other, the quips, the things that you guys say to motivate your each other.
Yeah.
Those aren't things that you would say to women. But that's the banter that you guys have. There are certain things that women say to women that we wouldn't say to our man,
Mhm.
or there's things that I would say to my women friends that I wouldn't say to my wife. The way I would
Like, think
speak.
about it. Like, think about it this way. What would happen if a chick walked up to a dude and said, "You look fat in that shirt"? Like I would laugh my ass off if Brie came up to me and, "Babe, your ass looks fat in those pants." I'd
Mhm.
be like, "What the fuck are you talking about?" You wanna know how much I literally do not give a shit? Literally don't care. Don't care at all. But it's like that's exactly what it is. It's like, "Bud, you're needed now."
Yeah.
It's not you cannot have emotion. That's
No.
not what like, and if you are one of those people where it's like, dude should have no emotion, you have emotional issues to begin with. You're an alcoholic, you're a drug addict, you have those massive, massive crazy issues to hide your emotions because that's what you were shown. But that's not what those things are used for. Like I'm very, very open about my emotions and my mental health and everything else. And I will still use those things with my son. And he looks at me and says, "Yes, I completely now is the time to go. We are one. It's okay. Let's go."
I'm glad you have that with him. Absolutely. I mean, you are being a dad to him, the dad that you wished you had.
Exactly.
You know what I mean? And I feel like that I knowing you your whole life, I really feel like that's what you're doing with Nick. And also, you weren't a girl, but also with Madison, you're treating them with the respect that you wish that you had been given. Um,
Exactly. And like, regardless of how shitty of a person my ex was, my kindness towards her showed me how to be kind to Maddie, Bree, and Ava. That's exactly like, do I do it to the same level? No, because I became a doormat very, very, very fucking quickly.
yeah.
But you learn like when you deal with somebody with such drastic mental health problems, and where offing themselves in Minecraft is the answer every single step of the way. You learn how to round off the edges to the world. And as a man, that is one of the strongest things that I can do for every single person in this house. I
Yeah.
allow them to see some of the edges, but god damn it, they see every little fucking round edge I possibly can point out. Because I don't want them to have that identity almost to where the world doesn't fucking matter what I do.
At the same time, though, you don't want to round out those edges so much that your children are handicapped at
Exactly.
life. You want to be able to show them how to manage life and how to manage their emotions, like you weren't taught, like your mom wasn't taught, like I wasn't taught, like your grandmother wasn't taught. Going back generations, nobody taught each other to do that. But if you take those things that you weren't taught, you weren't given, for whatever reasons, and you give them to your children, it's doing something extraordinary, you know. Um, it's teaching them that mental health matters. It's teaching them that even though there may be another diagnosis, like in your case, ADHD, and how that works along with your mental health or against your mental health in a lot of cases, um, having those sharp edged conversations sometimes with your children
Exactly.
helps them be
But
more, helps them manage
it's
life better.
so like, and this was an interesting one to me. Once World War III started happening and then stopped, I watched my son like start hyper focusing on it and like being so interested about the planes and the bombs and all of
Good.
the shit that was going to happen. And it's like, okay, I don't have to have that conversation unless it's an interest conversation.
Hmm.
But I could have the conversation about how ADHD and depression and all of these things are like interwoven, and have a completely in-depth conversation about how to control it and affect it and use it to your advantage with both of them openly, like, and allow those conversations to happen. So it's like when a man is leading a house and they're actually able to actually see all of the things that they need to do, they're able to like lessen the sharpness of the corners of World War III, because god damn it, more than likely that's not going to affect us, at least at home yet. Until we have that problem in front of us, we're not going to fucking worry about that. We're going to deal with making sure that you're okay. We're going to make sure that this is okay. We're going to make sure that dinner's cooked. And you know what I'm saying? Like, there's so many other different things that you can round off and make into such a better, more palatable situation,
Yeah.
that it's okay. I can break this down in this way and this way and this way, and actually figure it out. And that's why I don't think that, like, everybody says that, men suffer in silence due to social stigma and emotional suppression. That emotional suppression is fucking survival.
Yeah. Well, yeah, in some cases it absolutely is because, you're told be seen and not heard.
Yeah.
At school, you have to be quiet. You have to raise your hand. You can't get out of pocket. And so you don't really learn how to hone that and actually release it responsibly.
And I think even in relationships, like, it goes a step farther, is like, you're always told to like treat your significant other, your fiance, your wife, as this queen, as this like untouchable, unfathomable, the most important thing that you could ever have, because they are. But the thing is if they do not treat you the same way and make sure that you are taken care of, you have the flip flops you need, you have the mental health appointment that you needed to have, then guess what? You're not in a relationship. You're in a dictatorship.
Yeah. Oh yeah, absolutely. And it's when your son gets hyper focused on things that are happening in the world, make sure that he has all the information and where to find the actual like source information. Keep him away from the news. I know that he's going to see it, but I want him to
Yeah.
see it for what it actually is, not for what they're trying to do to people. And it's
Yeah.
very important that they grow up understanding that, because right now it's horrible, the media war
It,
that's going on.
it was interesting because he actually brought up stuff like that the other day. And he's like, Dad, you know what was really funny to me? Mom started crying because Trump won the election. I was like, okay, let's have this conversation, but it's okay. Well, your mother in 2020 voted for Trump. she was very happy with receiving those stimulus checks and everything else and all the free food that we got during COVID. And she voted for Trump. She agreed with me that the free speech and everything else was the important parts of this. But what changed in between 2020 and 2024? He's like, I don't know, Dad. I was like, well, there was one very big thing that she wanted to like parade on. And it went from being, free speech and taking care of families and stuff like that to woman's right to choose. And that became this big thing. I was like, your mom changed from somebody who would cry and bawl their eyes out because somebody like wanted to fight for that right, which I can understand in some circumstances and not in others. I'm not trying to give my opinion here, just trying to be blanket about what it was. And it's like she used to cry when other people would have pregnancies and stuff like that. It's like now your mom's sitting there crying because she wants the availability for herself to give up something. And it's like that's mental illness, dude. Is like that inconsistent with where your opinions and thoughts are. It's like I have to have this for this validation from this person. Is like that's not what you want.
Mhm.
You want to be able to stand in the morality of the situation, not your feelings in the situation.
Right.
It is not right to kill. It is not right to do this. It is not right to do that. Don't stand on like your opinion right now. That never works. Because if your feelings change and then you're going up and down and like you don't have any consistency in that.
Yeah. Um, Agreed. Emotional regulation is very, very important, especially if you have things like ADHD or, I mean, it's even depression or, BPD, emotional regulation, no matter what kind of mental challenges you face, is one of the most important skills that you can learn. And if you don't know how to emotionally regulate, ask ChatGPT or ask an AI because they're all over the place and they will gather information from all these sources and help you to figure it out. If you
And
don't know how to do life, ask something. If you don't want to ask somebody, you feel embarrassed, ask something because you got to have that place where you can go for those type of answers for that type of help.
and it's really weird, like to me, how that those things happen. Because I don't know when I learned this or when it started or what. But I learned to bring my emotion, like if you think of your emotions as a graph or like recoil when you're playing Call of Duty, I am able to bring my emotions back down to zero regardless of how fucking high they are. Like if I'm angry and it goes up, I can bring it back down to zero so quick you'll be really fucking confused. If I get sad, it will go back to fucking zero so quick you will be so fucking confused. But if I have to stay at that point, I thoroughly fucking struggle.
Mm-hmm.
Like you guys saw me yesterday. My mind is running 50 fucking miles an hour because I'm anxious as hell and trying to figure out exactly what's going on. There's no answers to it. And I fucking know that. I can firmly grasp it. But having to hold that emotion for a full entire weekend, it is fucking hell.
No, but you don't. You don't have to hold that emotion for a whole entire weekend. I mean, it's definitely a challenge and it's hard. But you have to remember the source of that emotion, and the source of that emotion is doing it because they know that's what it does. Um,
Well, the difference is when almost I almost do my best work when the chaos is emotional. And it's probably because it's what I'm comfortable with. It's what I've dealt with my entire 31 years. And it's like that chaos and that emotion being in me, I can fuck it. It causes almost the pressure that I need within ADHD to like just do it. It becomes the Nikes on my feet almost, and I'm able to push through and take every single step forward. Until that chaos is there, it is really fucking hard.
yeah, um, it is. It's you can't get lost in that chaos that you've always had, though. I understand that it's what you know. but you're taking a different turn in your life.
Oh, I
You're
know.
making different choices, so you're going in a different direction. So you can't automatically default back to I thrive in chaos, because you're not taking that forward in your life. You have to leave that back with the marriage. To be honest with you, take it and throw it back with it, because your life does not have to be chaos moving forward, because that's all that person knows. You can
Absolutely.
slow it down. You know what I mean? And make sure that I understand that you may feel like you thrive in chaos, but being an outside person looking into that, you also make snap decisions that aren't in your best interest a lot of the times.
Yeah.
So and sometimes, like, we're in the Eminem, I'm gonna say what the fuck I want phase, but we really have to reel that back in sometimes when it's of this grand importance.
Yeah.
And then you have to take into consideration, although there's the pressure again of being a man, you have to take into consideration, wanting to feel heard, making sure that your children are feeling heard and feeling appropriately supported, um, all the time, making sure that you don't put that amount of pressure on this person that you don't necessarily like anymore at all, but she your baby mama, so you still got to make sure that she stays on the census, and you got to put pressure on her, but not the kind of pressure where she's
Exactly.
going to play Minecraft and jump.
And that's the hardest part in trying to get anybody to understand that is being that right there.
It's real.
That mental gymnastics is men. Is like everybody that's been in this house, regardless of if it's you, like visitors that have been in this house that are a part of this circle in any form or fashion, obviously not fucking random like salesmen, but anybody who's been in this house at any point that is like genuinely caring enough to be in this circle. I have to put enough care and effort into whatever I handle to not jeopardize any single one of those people. And it's like, regardless of if I'm defending one, I cannot attack another. So it becomes almost like a fucking cycle of like, I have to calm down enough to be okay.
Yeah. It was just a message of something I want to remember to talk to you about.
Yeah.
Um, yeah, I mean, it's honing it in. I mean, men's mental health is a very, 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 it's a dance. I mean, you
Yeah.
have to. Men just can't be, chin up, soldier. March on, always. You have to have a place where you can feel supported. And if you don't have that place or that person that you can feel supported by, honestly, talk to an AI and let them know and feel supported by that until you can get
And,
a
and,
circle around you.
and obviously, I think that this part is probably going to be heard by women even more is like, they're going to play video games. They're going to play fucking sports or go lift weights or go to the fucking pizza parlor and fucking hang out with their friends.
It's part of mental fitness. Yeah.
Those things are fucking self-help and fucking availability to be a person. That
Yes.
is their therapy. And you sitting there calling them childish because they do it is the same fucking reason you read a smut book, you fucking weirdo. It's the same thing. You can't shit on somebody because they believe or think in a different way, and you can't shit on somebody because they fucking handle themselves in a different way.
No, you just
You
have different interests.
exactly.
Mhm.
But how many people, especially from your generation to mine, and I understand where there's a difference there, but it's like, how often was it get off the game, stop doing that, stop doing this? And it's like, dude, you read books for a living. Shut up. Like there's no difference. Like you're escaping your reality, I'm escaping mine, and you can't just use this as like a piece of leverage that you want to control. You can't tell me to sell all my cars that are on the wall because you don't agree with the hobby, but meanwhile you have a smut book library upstairs that you're going to go read into for fucking 5 hours today. That's not how it works.
No,
And you have to have some level of equality in that.
no,
That's
yeah, you
not.
have to have I mean, you get to have your own. That's what a healthy relationship is. You get to have your own things. You get to have your own interests. You get to do things to be able to wind down and then give your all to your family, sit down at the dinner table and have the conversations, but you were able to come home from work and take 5, 10, 20 minutes and wind down first, you know. And the same for women. If women are the ones that go out of the house and they're the ones that do the work, you need, like, my wife always makes sure when she picks me up for work, from work with the kids, and I just want to go to the park. I want to go to the park. It's nice. It's kind to let grandma go home and have a break for a minute. She just got out of work. And then, I'm able to then take myself after that 15 minutes of changing my clothes and taking a breath after the mental gymnastics that I've just gone through at work, and be able to shift and give all to my grandchildren until 8:30 at night till we bring them home.
Exactly. And that was going to be my biggest fucking tip on that is like, especially with ADHD and mental issues as well. Like, I wear my shoes all the time. My shoes do not come off until I'm done. But if you allow yourself, oh, I have a hoodie that I take off when I walk through the door, or when I'm done and my shoes come off, my shoes don't go back on because I'm in bed and I'm going to sleep and I'm okay. But that tells my fucking brain it's not time to shut off. And if I'm able to hold myself at 80, 90%, then my mind's able to do it.
Yep.
But allowing yourself a place to where it's like it changes now, it totally affects it.
Yeah.
But like, I'm one of those weird people where it's like, if you told me I had 5 minutes to change my mindset, it doesn't change anything. I'm either going to get sucked into a TikTok hole or it's not going to do anything. So like, I just keep going until I can't go anymore. And then it's like, okay, I'm done now.
Yeah. I feel like awareness is a lot of the remedy to everything. I mean, if you're aware of, where you are in your manhood, and you're aware of the outside forces around you and whether you can trust those forces, and whether, you can have those conversations with that person. It's just, you have to find, I'm trying to say, you have to find your circle, and
Yeah.
if you don't have a circle of people right now because you've been isolated or isolated yourself, awareness is the first thing. Find help, whether it's with somebody that you trust or an AI. Chat GPT is awesome. It really is. You can talk to it just like you talk to a friend. Or if you have a friend that you really don't know how to talk to, put it into Chat GPT and let them know the kind of tone that you want, and they'll help you figure it out. Help find the tools that can help you through the things. Community, educate yourself. It's really important to reframe things so that you can take bites out of that apple, so that you can take bites out of life and continue to keep moving forward in those shoes.
And that person that you trust and give everything to, every single part of your emotions, like, and everything that me and Bree dealt with Joshua and everything else, really kind of showed both of us that we're really fucking strong compared to what most people expected us to do. But in that situation, I didn't show my emotions. I handled it. I started this show. I put my emotions into doing something instead of just saying something,
Right.
because that's how I handle things. You and you, not you, you not relying on your significant other is completely okay too, regardless of what your significant other says. Like, if you have to rely on a best friend and that person hears your fucking emotions and everything else, as long as you're not emotionally fucking cheating on somebody, you're still doing the right thing.
Yeah. Yeah. North is still north. Right and wrong. In your soul, in your gut, if you have a moral compass that works, and is still magnetized, because a lot of moral compasses have gone off kilter these days, in the last 5 years, particularly 8 years, absolutely. But that being said, if you still have a moral compass, what's right and wrong, and if you act in a way that your moral compass isn't happy with, you're gonna feel that in your gut, or wherever you as a person feels it. I really feel like reframing situations helps get you out of whatever situation you're in. You have to figure out a way to reframe it. If you don't know how, drop a comment. We can help you figure it out. We don't have all the answers. I don't have all the answers. I'm not the smartest or most resourceful, but I can I can go to my trusted group if I need a resource. And if it's a resource that I don't know about, like ChatGPT, you gave me that resource. And I started using it. You gave me a resource on cognitive behavioral development. I started using that. I didn't realize that these things were there to help because I wasn't looking towards technology. Um, it, it, it's important in order to get yourself out of a rut to find a
Change it.
resource.
Change it. It doesn't matter what you're fucking changing. Change the little things.
Mm-hmm.
And guys, you're not fucking alone.
You're not.
Keep walking. Keep going. Maybe you'll find your tribe. Maybe you won't. Maybe you'll find a hell of a lot better. We'll see you fucking next time.